So Auburn played Houston in Houston this weekend in a matchup of the two teams ranked first and second at KenPom, but not every Auburn player was in attendance, and that's because two Auburn players, reportedly Ja'Kai Howard and Jaheim Hudson, got into a physical altercation on the flight Friday night. The flight had to be diverted. Howard and Hudson were removed from the plane. Neither continued forward with the team. Norlander, what more can you tell us about the incident that was initially described as, quote, horseplay, as if a plane filled with basketball players would actually be diverted on a Friday night because of, quote, horseplay?
All right, well, we'll start here. So we're going to get to the game because the game was awesome. We will get to the game. Well, we got to start with this. And yes, that was Jeff Goodman, who was the first to try and put into context the reason why Auburn's team plane had to be turned around. First of all, last time you came across the phrase horseplay, I was racking my brain. Parrish, I don't think I had seen it in print, in digital text, the way that we did on social media on Friday. Heard it said aloud. I think it had been minimum 15 years. And frankly, this is the exact kind of term that my late great Grams used to use with me and my brothers back in the day.
Also, it's just wildly inaccurate.
I know.
But besides being outdated, like from the 1930s, it's just wildly inaccurate. It was a fist fight. It's not horseplay. My kids are in their playroom, perhaps participating in horseplay right now. These are
horseplay. That is one of the all-time.
Hey, free journalism lesson out there. Free journalism lesson, kiddos, if you don't mind, from Uncle GP.
Oh, man.
If you ever hear about a plane being diverted filled with basketball players, and you got a source connected to the program, and you call that source or text that source, and they tell you, yeah, just horseplay. Just some horseplay. Tell your source, bro, I cannot tweet that you've just diverted a plane because of horseplay because it makes no sense and it's going to make me look like an idiot. Tell them that and then put your phone there. That way you don't end up tweeting horseplay when it's actually a fist fight.
One stage removed from skylarking at that point. I mean, it's some real crazy stuff there. There's a couple of places we can go here. So yes, those are the two players that didn't travel with the team. The fact that Pearl didn't, after the game, Auburn wins, and we will get to the game, I promise. But they win the game. They win it in just such impressive fashion. And then Pearl doesn't even really get into the issue even more. I wonder if we are waiting on anything else potentially here, because for as much as people have viewed the incident as funny, and I get that without a doubt. I mean, you got players fighting on an airplane against each other. We're not even a week into the season. They weren't even teammates. Goodness.
The transfer portal strikes again. I hope you're happy.
There was a picture sent out before the plane took off, and it was a smaller private plane. But like you got big dudes, wrestling around, going after each other on a plane. Like, that's actually legitimately dangerous. The pilot deemed it bad enough to turn the plane around, which is not that is a significant step to take. In fact, not a credit to the local Birmingham affiliate that was able to obtain the air traffic control call. This is legitimate here. Nada, can we play this real quick? I think this is a composite of what the pilot was speaking to with air traffic control on Friday night when they were determining that they were going to turn the play around. Go ahead, Nada, play this real quick.
Yes, sir. We have got an altercation on board. We knocked to declare an emergency and land. We got a bunch of basketball players fighting. The flight deck is secure. The threat level is contained for the moment. We just had, police on the ground, and we had two players that got into physical altercation. Clothes were ripped, and one bloody player. And Center 2681, it's kind of crazy. Will we direct Montgomery?
Okay, so they originally were going to redirect to Montgomery.
It was like all I heard was horseplay. Hey, come on, pilot. Come on, captain. Come on, Sully. I wonder if that was Sully.
It wasn't Sully.
You don't know if it was Sully.
I'm pretty confident it wasn't. I'm pretty sure Sully has retired from the aviation business.
Sully would have handled this. All right, Sully would have handled this.
Sully could have gotten the plane to Houston.
Hey, captain. Hey, Captain, I heard a lot of words. Could have just used horseplay. Hey, air traffic control, we got some horseplay up here. I don't know why you had to use all those words when you could have just used horseplay.
So to bring the plane back, they asked for police on the ground when they got there. I actually have a buddy who is a private or has been a private plane pilot, and he said depending on the situation, this could be a federal. There could be a federal violation of law in nature in landing the plane. And so I'm bringing this up to say Pearl didn't speak about it after the game. We don't have further clarification. The university, after initially indicating to me it would be releasing a statement, still has opted against releasing a public statement against this. I don't know if there's more fallout or not from these two players, but it is wild stuff. In fact, it is so wild, Nada's got another one here, that this issue has jumped the podcast network within CBS itself. Apparently this came up because Chip Patterson could not help himself on the Cover 3 podcast. Nada has that in the holster as well. GP, brace yourself, because it's not just Chip Patterson, but Tom Fornelli is also involved in this as well. Go ahead, Nada.
You landed the plane, you get to reset, and then
it wasn't because the team was fighting.
Because the team was that's an Auburn basketball joke. Watch out, Gary. We're coming for you. We're gonna make enough college basketball references over the course of the next 7 weeks that we're coming for you. Watch out. The idea that an Auburn basketball team fight led a plane to have a safety emergency is objectively hilarious.
What's the point of having a private plane if you can't fight on it? Right. Just keep going. And when you land, you'll deal with it. It's not like they're terrorists. They're just teammates. Just keep going. You won't hear this on the Guy in College Basketball podcast. They won't go this in depth. Rank Illinois, Gary, you coward.
Hey, I co-sign Fornelli. Keep it moving. They weren't trying to fight the pilots. They're just trying to fight each other like good teammates sometimes do.
It's unreal that this is a story. It just this feels actually very college football-ish, and the fact that it's impacting college basketball in the first week of the season. Yeah, and Fornelli with the Illinois shot across the bow there. GP, Illinois still not ranked in your top 25 and one. By the way,
not yet, but I'm paying attention. If they get there, they'll get there.
Okay. Any other takes on the fact that we have arguably maybe the best team in the country have an intra-team fighting again with guys that have known each other maybe 4 months total, getting into it on the plane? It's just unreal.
Well, as I wrote in the top 25 and one, and then of course Auburn goes and wins the game. Who is better, maybe in the history of the sport, at coaching through chaos than Bruce Pearl? This guy has been investigated 5,000 times. He's had
Bill Self has navigated some stuff as well.
Bill's great. Bill's also great.
We get a couple Kansas players fighting on the plane. Let's get 3 of them. Let's see how Kansas then responds. Can we up the ante here?
I mean, Bill has opened seasons with his 5-star freshman just crashing cars, and then having to be ruled out because he shouldn't have been in the car. With Kansas, Bill's great at it as well. But BP been investigated 1,000,000 times. He's had assistant coaches get show causes, get felony charges. He's had players suspended by the NCAA. He's been suspended by the NCAA, but he's almost never not really good. It just does. I linked the video. There's a video of BP celebrating after the win, and he's yelling to what appears to clearly be some Auburn supporters that he's familiar with. And he's like, "That's Auburn being Auburn." I'm like, buddy, there is nothing more Auburn being Auburn than having to divert your flight because you got 2 dudes fist fighting, but then just continue on to Houston and knock out Kelvin Sampson's team on the road.
SEC hoops coming for SEC football. It really does it does mean more. Pearl said in the presser afterward, quote, "This is going to be one happy ride home," end quote. Chef's kiss there. Let's get to the game. Holy crap. By the way, Auburn fans want to fight me even more than the Auburn players wanted to fight each other. I put the Tigers 27th in my preseason rankings. A lot of these fans seem to believe that I'm going to update my rankings weekly. Not going to happen. However, I will take the mea culpa in the short term. Let's see if Auburn can continue this, because now we are talking about the number 1 team at Ken Palm. Auburn leapfrogged Houston, and they did it for a variety of reasons. The biggest being the freshman to burst onto the scene. Now, he was highly regarded 5 stars coming into Hod Pettiford, but he hit 5 threes in this game. It felt like everyone was worth 4 when it went in. He had a game-high 21 points. He didn't have a turnover, and he got 21 points in 24 minutes. On post-game radio, I saw this passed along, I believe, by Justin Ferguson, who covers Auburn locally. The quote on Pettiford from Pearl was, quote, big nuts, end quote. And he ain't wrong about that. Incredible. Auburn was outrageous in the second half. Outscored Houston by 12 points, dropped 46, or by 10 points, dropped 46 on Houston in the second half. Hit 7 of its final 8 shots, and was able to shoot 57% in the second half. If you listen to Friday's preview episode, I noted that Houston was coming off a season in which it led the country in field goal percentage defense and scoring defense, and that hadn't happened in men's D1 when one school led in both categories in 40 years. For Auburn to do this, after all of the playing stuff, Janai Broom was outrageous from the field. As 20 points, I think he missed, 1 or 2 field goals total, had 9 rebounds. Him and Pettiford combined for 31 in the second half. Chaney Johnson, he had 11 and 10, and his presence in the first half was crucial and critical. Auburn had 39 total bench points. It was awesome stuff. Auburn fans, every right to crow. Your team looked as good as it possibly could have, considering the circumstances and the opponent. It was the first time Auburn had beaten Houston since 1962, by the way. And, Bruce Pearl has reached the point where he is attached to so many either Auburn firsts or Auburn bests. And this was an Auburn best and a first. Never before had Auburn defeated a team ranked as high as number 4 in the AP Top 25. I checked the Auburn game notes after this. This is actually genuinely surprising. You figure maybe you sneak in a top 10 win here or there, but the exact wording here is the win over 4th-ranked Houston is Auburn's highest-ranked regular season non-conference win in program history, topping the Tigers' wins over UAB in 1984 and Louisville in 95 when both teams were ranked 13th. So the highest-ranked non-con win ever, comfortably for the Tigers, and that's big-time stuff there. Pettiford was a revelation. I'm intrigued to see if he can, watching the game, like Tyrese Maxey was a good freshman at Kentucky, but his best game was his first big one in the Champions Classic, and he never was able to really duplicate that. I don't think that'll be the case with Pettiford. In fact, if I knew he was going to be this good, Auburn fans, half serious, half joking, I easily would have put your team in the top 20. He was awesome. Can he be that kind of guy moving forward? Is he going to turn into what was not predicted to be? Is he going to be one of the 5 most valuable and potent freshmen in the country? I don't know if he will or won't, but I know that had they not had him on the floor, I don't think Auburn would have beaten Houston on Saturday night. Instead, it gets a big-time win, and what will probably wind up being one of the 5 most valuable wins come Selection Sunday, because even though it wasn't a true road environment, it was a de facto road environment, and I don't think too many other teams are going to get too many other wins against teams that are more likely to be more highly rated than Auburn taking down Houston.
You mentioned Auburn scored 46 in the second half. I don't know that anybody else will do that against Houston.
I agree with you.
All season. Auburn shot 52.9% from the field in the game. I saw this. Somebody had previously shot 52.9% or better from the field against Houston only 4 times in the previous 7 seasons combined. That's from Nathan King, 24/7 Sports. So we're in this position where we're trying to figure out, does this say more about Auburn or does it say more about Houston? I think given what Auburn had done in its season opener, to back it up with this, despite the off the court distractions, is pretty impressive. Like they looked the part. I moved them up, I believe, to 3rd in the top 25 and 1, now behind only Kansas and Alabama. I believe Auburn is now 1st at KenPom.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important. With Houston, we've reached the point where they're the maybe biggest benefit of the doubt program in America. Right there with Gonzaga, Kansas usually. Just like you just believe they're going to be good because the same guys, the same guys as the coach. And these players, they might not have a bunch of 5 stars to connect next to the name, but we've seen it before so many times. In 2000, I continue with it. They have had All-American guards consistently for a while now.
Yeah.
2021, Quentin Grimes, he was a 3rd-team All-American. 2022, Marcus Sasser didn't make an All-America team that year, but the following year, he was a 1st-team All-American, and he was on that 2022 team. So then you had Sasser, and then you lose him. Jamal Shedd steps up, 1st-team All-American. Is there an All-American on this team?
I think there's a chance. I mean, Cryer didn't have a great game. But I think he's the nominee. He's the candidate. He's going to have to be more consistent. But I would say this: I don't know if there will or there won't be. Even if there's not, like if you watch the game, like even like Tugler, who was out with an injury at the end of last season, was awesome. This was an awesome weekend in college hoops, and it's the first day when we got so many more that are coming. GP,
we have more weekends.
Oh, we got so many more weekends of college hoops this season. I can't wait. The fact that this was the first one that was this good is really inspiring. The energy in this game from the first possession to the last was phenomenal. It's become a cliche to say this feels like an Elite Eight game. This felt like a freaking national championship game with how tough these teams are playing and the big shot after big shot that Auburn hit. So I don't know if Cryer is going to be an All-American or not. He's the most likely candidate. Uzan fouled out, Milos Uzan, the Oklahoma transfer, but he had some good moments there. There's a lot to be inspired by for Houston, and frankly, I don't know if it'll be aberrational or not, but the fact that Auburn went on a shot-making spree, the likes of which Houston might not face again, like they really did get him, and I'm not really dissuaded whatsoever off my preseason position on Houston. I'm obviously nudged a little bit by Auburn, no doubt about it. I faded them going in because they were a trendy top 10 team, and I saw the pieces they had coming in. They returned some good spots, but I took a chance and thought, loaded SEC, maybe Auburn's going to take a step back. Obviously, no indication of that whatsoever in the first week.